Hello folks, coming up next is something interesting. People with weird/obscure jobs. What is your job and how did you get the job? I watch TV commercials for a living. I basically make sure there is no vulgar language, offensive material or unsubstantiated claims being made. I got this job through a recruiter and I told them I was interested in media. Best job I've ever had. I'm always amazed at the exaggeration in commercials. We are the world's #1. Fill in blank. How do you define an unsubstantiated claim? That's okay as it is an opinion. I work in a lab where I raise moths. I got it by telling my lab partner that I love bugs and he hooked me up. Is it good pay? It's $10 an hour, but it's really good experience on my resume. Hope they don't mothball the company. I was a puppeteer for many years and I actually got that job from an ad in the classifieds. It cracks me up that there is a scene in Being John Malkovich where he tries to find puppeteer in the classifieds and fails. I can't believe it. I remember that movie because at the time I was trying to become a cartoonist or animator and there was no way I was finding anything like that in the classifieds. You actually succeeded. It's amazing that artists ever found work in the pre-internet era. I'm a house manager for a family of 4. Basically I'm a female butler. I've worked for them for 14 years starting as the kids' nanny. They're my second family pretty much. I organize tradespeople, holidays, birthdays, daily meals, dinner parties, housekeeping, the list goes on. It's challenging at times but keeps me on my toes and I enjoy that. Do you manage staff or is it a one-woman army job? Pretty much a one-woman army. Our housekeepers recently left, one retired and the second resigned to spend more time with her family, so I've taken on their roles now as well. Long days but I love it. I basically organize their lives. They all call me head boss, which haha. I don't know if this is obscure, but my boyfriend is a high-rise window cleaner. There are only 4 in our city. He loves his job. Sometimes when he is working, I will go to the city to the building he is cleaning and look up at him on the street. So cute. That's sweet. I hope sometimes you can notice each other and wave. Concrete petrographer. I just started this month. I studied geology in college and now my job is to look at concrete using petrographic methods I learned at school and conduct ASTM tests to determine quality of concrete. Very interesting work because concrete is engineered rock and there's a lot more to it than you think. Misread this as concrete photographer. Yours is much more interesting. I literally went over this comment like 3 to 4 times and didn't know until I saw your comment. I'm a hostage survival trainer. I was working in international development within IT, and was asked to go and sort out the finance system in Iraq back in 2007. The ministry I was working in got attacked by a militia and myself along with my 4 guards got captured. Over time the guards were killed and I got released in an exchange deal after being held for over 2.5 years. I did an AMA about it some years ago. I was moved around every couple of months. One time they took me outside, knelt me down, put a gun to my head and pulls the trigger. At the same time they fired another gun off behind my back. I thought I was dead. Holy poop, this is cruel. You know when you're watching a sports program and you see the little pop graphic in the corner, a baseball player's stats, or an advertisement for Easy Mac, or stay tuned for Saved by the Bell at 9? Yeah. That was me. I updated those graphics and uploaded them to Fox Sports. Since Fox Sports is a 24-hour channel, there's always one guy in the office 24 hours a day. Okay, that's super cool. Do you pre-create all the graphic? How much is done on the fly? I swear, there will be circumstances where a crazy situation happens, and then 10 seconds later there is some super relevant stat that comes up as a graphic. I cleaned grills for super rich people in Palm Beach. Even got to clean Michael Jordan's at one point. And it was recommended to me from a friend who was in sobriety with me after I got clean. We talking grills as in barbecue, or the other type? Like, $15,000 built into an outdoor kitchen grills. I lived in WPB for the same reasons as you. Are you still clean? My job's not weird. I'm a welder. But what I do isn't very common. I build Virginia-class submarines. Oh man, I have a book called The Yard about the Bath Iron Works and everything that goes into building naval vessels. So much work. Good on ya. It's an honest dollar. I work in a clinical lab where I get to play with baby sweat for a bit of my day. We are testing for chloride level. Increased chloride in sweat is one of the diagnostic markers for cystic fibrosis. I am a clinical laboratory scientist. Not all clinical labs perform this test, but I am lucky enough to work at a lab where we do a couple interesting low-volume tests. I didn't even know babies could sweat. How old do they have to be to start sweating? Babies absolutely can sweat. They make these tiny treadmills and get the babies to sprint for a bit. Just kidding. They use a topical medication along with electrodes applied to the arm of the baby to induce sweat production. The sweat is then collected on sterile gauze and sent to the lab. We extract the sweat from the gauze and perform the chloride test. We typically try to hold off on testing babies less than 2 weeks old, but I have gotten samples on a couple babies that were only 48 hours old. I used to work on a lavender farm. It's totally unrelated to my field of study and incredibly difficult in terms of manual labor, but man was it a beautiful place. I tended to the plants, took care of goats, and did processing for the herbs and honey. My grandparents are farmers, and so I grew up with mediocre knowledge of field work and beekeeping, and when a friend's mom decided to start a business centered around lavender, she asked me to help out for the summer. I have an anecdote about a lavender farm. Actually, not really a lavender farm, but the ranch I grew up on had a lavender field that was cultivated for harvest, pretty small scale at maybe around 100 large plants. My husband and I walked into the field to cut through it from a pasture to the road. We got around 10 feet in and then we heard t-t-t-t-t-t-t-t-t-t-t-t-t-t and we froze. Anyone who's encountered that sound recognizes it instantly and your blood just runs cold. Sure enough, a rattlesnake was coiled and staring at us under the closest lavender plant, a couple feet away at most from our bare ankles. Then we heard it again, only this time on the other side of the plant. Slowly looked down as we crept backwards towards the fence, and sure enough, there was not one, not two, but a ducking nest of rattlers under that plant. Then the sound spread. First that bush, then the ones on each side, and soon the entire field was a chorus of rattling. It sounded just like heavy rain. We got our backs to the wood fence and climbed up the top slat, and crawled along the upper fence as high as we could get off the ground. Not sure how far it was, but maybe 75 feet, edit, I meant to get it out the field, not 75 feet high lol, and the whole time this beautiful, soft field of lovely lavender flowers had come alive and was pulsing and swaying with hundreds and hundreds of rattlesnakes. Every bush was vibrating and home to its own nest of rattlers. It was absolutely terrifying. I grew up in the California countryside, so I am far from a stranger to rattlesnakes and snakes in general. I had never before and have never since seen anything like that before. I knew they could form nests, but this was a scale unlike anything I would have thought possible. I've experienced some sketchy shit out there with wild animals like mountain lions, boars, and snakes of all kinds, but that was by far the freakiest poop I've ever seen in the country, and it permanently made me a little nervous around lavender plants. This was just about 20 minutes from San Jose BTW, not some remote area deep in Central California. It's crazy how close you are to that kind of wildness when you're in one of the most populated urban areas in the country. I'm a potter. Not sure if that fits the bill for weird. I used to be the manager for a museum art school, and began taking classes there years ago. Eventually transitioned into being a full-time potter and pottery teacher. Not the kind of pot people were hoping to work with when hearing your job title. Still, that's pretty interesting progression and job. I used to cut pictures of wee-wees and hose off packaging of adult toys. All day every day. I got the job by being able to pass a drug test. The interview: boss, can you pass a drug test? Me, yes boss, you sure? Because if you don't pass I won't hire you. Me, I understand boss, if I pay for your piss test and you fail I'll be mad. Me, I haven't smoked in like 3 months, don't worry. So not job, but company/industry. I was their first marketing person. I worked at a company that specialized in phased array ultrasonic non-destructive testing. The technicians made a crap ton of money and got to work in crazy places like nuclear power plants in Canada and offshore oil rigs in Norway. They even worked on some of the NASA launching pads. What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.